Hey ladies, today I'm going to try to show you a video of highlighting and contouring. I decided I'm going to try to just do one side of my face so you can kind of see the impact. It shouldn't be really dramatic. I mean, unless you're getting photos taken or something, if people can kind of see what's going on during the day, you'll look like you have a lot of makeup on. So this is me, no makeup. I have washed my face with the Illuminate cleanser. I have also used the rose water. Oh, sorry, it's way in the sun there. My rose water to kind of take down some of the redness. These guys that you kind of see here, some of them are fresh, most of them are just dark scarring, but I have started using my uplift. So this is the eye serum. I have started to use this on my scars here, and I've noticed that they're fading a lot because of the regenerative purposes it has. It's really going to help those cells kind of renew a little bit faster, so I've noticed that that's helped a lot. I have also moisturized already using the Divine moisturizer, and I've used my primer. So I did all that stuff before the video. You don't need to see all that. It's kind of boring to watch. But everything is prepped and ready to go. So the first thing, I'll let you know the tools that we have, and I do have my mirror over here if I'm kind of looking away. That's what that is going on. I'm going to be using my blending buds. I also have my foundation brush, and I have a powder brush, and I'll also be using my blusher brush to help with the contouring. It's just made really nice. You can really push it in where you want it to go, so you can see, oh look, there's a little bit of color there already, so you can kind of see that. And I also have the BB cream that I'm going to use. This is a Bisque, and this is the caramel, so this is about 2 shades darker than my full face cream. And now I don't do lots of highlighting with lighter the BB cream. I just use my full face color, and then I just kind of contour in. I don't do lots and lots of highlighting. It's a technique that they started, like drag queens started, and I mean, you can do it if you want to. I more just use my sexy pigment for the highlighting in certain areas, and once we get our bronzers, I'll be using that to kind of bring some shimmer and light to those areas rather than using a lighter color. I just don't like to look very made up. So I also have the Touch Cream foundation, and the powders as well to kind of set everything so it doesn't move. Now, one huge step when you put your primer on, give it a little bit to kind of really soak in, and make sure you're not putting lots on your lids. It is a face and eye primer, but if you're putting too much on your eyelids, I mean, your eyelids aren't going to absorb the product the same, so what's going to happen is your shadow, your pigments are just going to kind of sit on top and get smeary. But I mean, really, after you put it on your face, I use about a pump, sometimes a little more depending, and I'll bring it down here, always stroking up. Always on your face, remember to stroke up, because when you're pulling your skin down, you're creating those wrinkles. I learned that in aesthetic school. So always up, and when you're doing your eyes, ring fingers, really light taps. Don't rub it in. I see all the time people rubbing and doing this one. You're going to create these wrinkles on yourself. So tap it in, tap it up and around. On your forehead, I always see this one too, people doing this. Don't do it sideways, because your wrinkles, I have a couple in there, your wrinkles, when you're pushing it up, you're creating that wrinkle more. So go sideways. Anyways, that's a quick face lesson. But after you have your primer on, let it kind of soak in. Whatever's left on your hands after you've done your primer on your face, use that very lightly just to do it on your lids. So next thing that I do is I go ahead and get my BB cream on my face. Now, since I'm doing it on myself, I'll use it on my fingers. And oops, I'm just going to do the one side. I forgot. So I kind of will tap it on my face. I might need a little more. I'm not used to doing it this way. I'll kind of just tap it in a couple of areas. And then when I blend it in to kind of get I don't like a lot of like finger marks, so I would just use my concealer brush and kind of wipe it on. And then after I've done that, this kind of makes sure it goes everywhere really nicely. I even find sometimes with brushes, sometimes they'll look a little streaky. So I love that we came out with these blending buds. So really, make sure you wet it beforehand, wring it out really good. Otherwise it'll kind of soak up some of your product and you don't want that. I just kind of use it to tap onto my makeup. Kind of like just stipple it on, or stipple, however you want to say it. Just to kind of get rid of those streak marks. I mean, already you can see, whoops, I don't want to come too close. You can already see a huge difference in my skin tone, just a BB cream. I haven't put any concealer on my pimples yet, but you saw how dark they were, just as dark as this side. The scarring there, it just, it really is a complexion enhancer. It says it is, and it is. So after that, this is where you want to use your darker contouring colors. So the main kind of rule for contouring is, if you were looking at yourself in a mirror and you drew, if you drew an oval kind of on your face on the mirror, everywhere outside that oval is where you want to contour. So the whole goal is to make a more oval shaped face, which was considered attractive, and it just always went that way. So if you suck in your cheek there, you can kind of see the hollow there. I don't have huge cheekbones, so I really kind of will play that up. Because my forehead is tall, I contour up here a little bit to make it appear like it's shorter. And then I like to contour a little bit around my jaw to make it look like my chin's a little more pronounced than it is. If you wanted to, you know, if you had a double chin, you could kind of contour that down a little. You could do down your neck a little bit. And always, again, make sure when you are doing your face, you bring this down a little bit. Otherwise, you'll have that crazy line. So I just use my fingers. You don't have to. You can use brushes if you want, but because I'm doing it on myself, I do. So how's that look? Look crazy? Yeah, it does. So I do there. I do a little here. And I don't have the most pronounced chin, so I do contour down there a little bit. Not a lot, just enough. Now you can use, you don't have to use a darker foundation if you didn't want to. You could use a bronzer if that's what you have. Just don't use anything that's shimmery. Use a more matte color. One important thing is too, when I do use my fingers, I don't blob it on. I remember when I was young, I would see my mom do it, and she would have like, she would take her finger on her thing and shake it up and have this big thing on her finger, go tap, 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 and then rub it in. I don't do that because if you do use your blending buds, or you do use your, I'm not going to use my finger for my nails. I'll show you that later with a little brush. If you do use your brushes or blending buds, they'll pick up your product, and then it's just a waste. If you were going to use your fingers, you could, but I mean, really, you don't want to do that anyways. So this is where I would use my blending bud, and always make sure that you've done your light first. So if you were going to use a lighter color, you would do it at the same time. So you would do it all over face color, you would do your dark in the places that you want it, and then you would use a lighter one if you had to, and you would highlight this area. You could highlight your chin and a little bit in your forehead. I'll show you how I do it without that highlighting so you don't have so much on your face. So then use your blending bud, and I always start from down here, and you just kind of tap it in. And I'm going to save this part for last because it has the most product there. So again, I kind of make that like face when I'm doing it, so I know where to dab it in. And I kind of, I don't know if you can see, it's like pushing it up motion. Not just straight, it's kind of up on an angle. And then, you know, as you're doing it and you notice more product is getting on your bud here, sorry, we're kind of in the sun. As more product is getting in the bud, you can kind of turn it so that you're getting a spot that doesn't have as much, so you're not just moving it around, you're kind of blending it in. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And yeah, I just like to bring it down a little bit. I mean, you can see there's a bit of difference from this side to this side. It doesn't look like I have crazy amounts of makeup on. And now what I'll do is I will start to kind of set it. So I do use the cream foundation for my concealer under my eyes, so I just use my concealer brush, and you can use this for a bit of highlighting. It's a tiny bit lighter than my skin tone anyways because it's concealer, so I don't ever just put a thing under your eye there because it'll draw more attention to it. So I always go straight down, kind of across in a triangle shape, and that's going to create the illusion of your eyes being more lifted and lighter and not as dark. So I guess you know what, I will do a bit of highlighting. So for highlighting, basically you're just going to bring it out further. Usually I don't. Usually I just kind of do it under my eye just to open that up. If you're going to do highlighting, let's say it's nighttime and I'm going to go out somewhere, you just bring it out. Where you had that contouring, you just bring it out. So might as well, since we're doing it, do a bit of the forehead there. If I had a short forehead and I want it to look larger, I'd bring this up higher, but I don't. I do have a bit of a crooked nose, so I usually will bring my highlighter to try to straighten it out. And then because I like to pronounce my chin a bit, and because I have some little pimples, I usually put this around here. And then again, you could just use your blending buds. I'm going to use the smaller one for this stuff. And always make sure, especially if you are acne prone, make sure you're washing these guys out. You can just use your regular skin cleanser if you want to. You can use a light, a mild cleanser. And I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can for you guys. I don't want this to be a long video. Okay, and lastly, just to kind of contour the nose, I do use a brush there. So I'm just going to use my foundation, my concealer brush. And you really just use the tiniest bit. Kind of get it on the tip of your brush there so you can really see. And you're just going to draw a little line from up there. And then I like to kind of put a little bit at the edge of my nose here to make it look a little shorter. And then just blend that baby in. Okay, the sun is moving on us. Sorry about that. I tried to get us in a place where it would be bright enough you could see me, but not too bright that you can't. So far you can see the difference. I don't have my eyebrows filled or anything, but you can see the difference just in my face. I haven't really tried to cover my pimples too much, just enough. And now I'm going to set it with some powder. So again, I have two different colors powder. I have Velour and I have Chiffon. So Velour would be my more just all over face one, and Chiffon is my kind of setting for the contours. So I like to set my contours first because if it gets too dark, I can kind of blend it and buff it with my regular tone. So I really honestly, I just swirl a tiny bit, tap off whatever's extra, and kind of press it into those places where you've done your contouring. Tiny bit there, and a bit down there. Now right now, yeah, it does look a little dark, but it won't shortly. Okay, that's all. And then my regular one is, again, it's Velour. I just kind of take a bit on here, and I do it, I kind of tap it on, sounds weird, but I try to tap it onto anywhere I've used the cream one because that's a thicker product and I really like to set it. And then I use basically whatever's left for the other places I highlighted. and then I blend it. Blend it together. And keep in mind when you're doing makeup, I mean, I don't want to say there's no right and no wrong way. There's really not. It's like painting a picture. What looks good to you may not look good to everybody. So just play with it and do it the way you want to. Now avoid pressing too hard when you're blending because you'll wipe off all of the product that you've already put on there. Now, of course, I've forgotten my sexy shimmer that I usually use, so just for video purpose, I will use my lighter powder color. So with my sexy, I usually just use my finger, and I put it in the places where I want to be lightest. So it's usually in here, it's usually in here, it's across there, it's always here. And then I use my eyebrow color to do a dark spot under there to make my lip look a little fuller. But after I do my highlight and contour, this is when I cover my pimples. So as you saw in my other video, because it already has a couple of layers of coverage on top, I'll just do a quickie to show you. And then usually there's enough powder on. There, that's my highlighting and contouring. I hope that helps some of you. I know that it's a super new concept to many of you. I know this took a little longer than I wanted to, but really it can be as simple or as complex and easy as you want to. So this is my super slim contoured side, and this is my plain old no makeup side. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. See you guys in the next video.